What is up, you muffin munching muggles? Welcome to Fiction in Reality. Have you ever watched that one anime that kind of left you scarred, left you thinking, what the fuck am I actually watching and why? Shiboyugi is a new death game anime released this season that innovates the scheme through betrayal, Machiavellianism, and twisted turns you won't see until the veil is lifted. And boy oh boy is this anime effed up. Let's explore how Shiboyugi sets its death game apart from the rest. Now, what is Shiboyugi? Probably the most crazy anime that you'll see all season, and the season is just getting started. I mean, these maids had me looking at my own friends like they were ops serving up a nice steamy pot of op gumbo.
Fuck it, I ate the op.
So what's the premise? A woman named Yuki wakes up in a mansion, then clusters with a congregation of other women who found themselves present in the same mansion for various reasons that anchor them to this death game, whether it's death, or whether they're tricked or even forced to participate. While Yuki herself, being that this is her 28th death game, states that her goal is simply to beat 99 games. In other words, she's just doing it for the fun of the game and trying to get herself a little Mickey Mouse ring. We're informed that the first game is an escape death game, meaning that the players have to get out of the mansion filled with traps that can kill them and puzzles that activate the primal instinct of self-preservation, survival. Perhaps one of the more distinctive elements about this death game and the genre itself is that they don't assign status to the players. The playing field is grounded from the outset and level. Money is the driver for some players, for others simply a craving to protect their free will, but the traps they end up funneled in always trace back to the brunt of what these games are sculpted to capture, the resilience of one's humanity and false virtue, and just how high that threshold is until a hinge snaps from its anchor, and you're left with nothing but a mirror of your own choices and actions in the aftermath that follows. We're even shown through I, one of the most pure players in the death game, that innocence is not a shield within the world. All life is just equally throughout the escape game, and your results are the product of the choices and mistakes you make. People you choose or choose not to trust, and the ethical boundaries one must overcome in order to ensure their own survival, even if it means letting another player's life become forfeit. Shiboyugi is the most effed up anime you will watch this season, and the death games are the only reason you need to prove it. Though we already have Yuki, who embraces her manipulative role, even going so far as to overtly call out her motive of gaining favor with the other players early on in case she needs them later to survive, Shiboyugi's death games are not good for your mentals or your chickens. The players enter this cobblestone abyss that resembles a well, and lo and behold, the door magically decides to get a little bit sturdy and lock them in. That, of course, wouldn't be a problem if streams of water weren't gushing in by the gallons and swelling in order to drown them out. They waste time deciding whether or not to pull the switch and handcuff themselves, and once they get over this hump, everything turns out okay. I mean, did I say okay? A giant razor saw starts coming down from the sky, death from above in the truest sense. And it gets even more fucked up than that. Yuki unlocks her shackles and places the keys in the middle, and now all of the players are fighting for the keys while working against a clock that decides life or death. What I love about this anime is that it always comes back to and centralizes on survival over superficial delicacies, and also the importance of gaining favor, such as with one character who consciously grabbed the hand of another player she found more favor with and handed the keys over to them. The anime focuses on the fact that no matter what your intentions are, even all the grief, remorse, and regret in the world won't taper away the aftermath of the actions you take. As I stated, Yuki is a game 28 vet, meaning she's the GOAT. She's got GOAT status. She's just trying to get that 99 chip from the bowl. Having this experience, it appears she's become accustomed to numbing her emotions and detaching herself emotionally from the players around her. She even overtly stated following the aftermath of the drowning game that showing remorse would only slow the player down and increase their chances of not making it out alive. So she only prays for the dead players after the game is over. And even after the first episode ended, we found out that shit wasn't even true. I'm telling you, this protagonist is a cold-hearted, self-possessed spawn of Satan in sheep's clothing. They said the only thing she did was think about the players who died for 3 minutes. And Shiboyugi, even playing favorites with these dev games, has its consequences, as in doing so, you put other players' lives at risk. I'm not going to be that guy and tell you who gets their salami pastrami in the meat grinder, but just know that not everyone left the way they came. Or maybe what you JJK fans might say, everyone didn't make it out in one piece. Have you ever been manipulated before? Well, this new death game, Shiboyugi, will have your mental wires arcing on repeat. The death game centers around the players forming fragile connections with each other, then snapping them in half whenever the playing field starts rolling the wrong way. You know, talk no jutsu type shit.
A broken tool! Man, that's so wrong! So wrong!
Hey, you know what else is a broken tool? That like button after you hit it. If you're enjoying the video right now, please take a moment to hit that like button and show some love for your boy. In episode 1, Yuki, the protagonist of the show, explicitly warns the players not to blindly trust anyone, including herself. I mean, it's amazing how this character puts on this cherry and sugary persona, all while hiding the cold-hearted lion underneath. The players eventually encounter a death game where they can't take the elevator due to some people being a certain weight size.
803.
Damn.
And Yuki comes up with the solution for all of them to cut off their limbs and take the stairs instead. All this after she saved one of the women from unaliving herself. I mean, she engaged in a whole yap session about how they weren't going to leave her behind. They were playing Disney music, glorifying the sacrifice. But when shit hit the fan and they realized the exit downstairs needed another condition to be met before they could leave, holy 6ix9ine, the Yuki spin an entire 180. Nothing, and I mean nothing, ever goes the way you expect in this anime. Yuki plays the leader role for the escape death game, and from watching the latest episode is used to automatically winning the role due to her experience. But in reality, it appears that she is not taking the role to actually lead them, but to stay in control and direct all the chess pieces her way. She even joked about using these people as meat shields in one of the first scenes of the show. She uses the players to test the boundaries of the death games, like layered shields to absorb the impact of any miscalculations she makes. In episode 3, you have her jockeying for the leading position, but then getting put down simply because most of the players present lack familiarity with her, even though she had the most experience. But she did lie about that experience to manipulate them and make them think she was weaker than she was letting on. The average ego simply cannot take on mass critique abruptly, especially when the internal self continuously reinforces that their identity and potential exceeds that of those haggling them. It's completely ego shattering. That's how people end up like this.
いつもの自分を曲げちまった。その時点で負けていた。
This is why we see Yuki return to Mishiro and tell her that if she apologizes, she'll show her the stairway out of the minefield game labyrinth, even after Yuki already led the rest of the group away. She's addicted to controlling the game, controlling the pawns, and ensuring that every piece slides on the square they are supposed to occupy. To repeat, Yuki was flexing on her hater so much that she walked back up the stairway away from the exit just to say, I'm better than you. Shiboyugi sheds light on the darkest spirits of humanity, the primal instinct for self-preservation of life and ego, the primal instinct to manipulate in order to survive, but also this falling out that occurs when the reins of power begin slipping from one's grasp. If there's one thing they've made clear, control triumphs all in the world of Shiboyugi. The anime Shiboyugi reverses the usual spin on death games. Usually what occurs in most anime death games is that the conditions create some type of battle royale, something like a Mirai Nikki Future Diaries, where killing all of the diary holders ensures you secure the position of a god, or maybe something like a death parade where the rules are cut quite clear and simple. What I'm saying is you always have an enemy to identify in these death games because the rules require you to overcome them either physically or by killing them, or psychologically by forgiving them in order to preserve a more stable state or version of yourself. In Shiboyugi, you never know what the hell is going to happen because all of the players are essentially teaming up at some point, at some capacity, in order to achieve a common goal of beating the game. You're essentially waiting for them to reveal their true self. This anime is riddled and writhing with betrayals big enough to make your boy Aaron Yeager lose his marbles. The type of betrayal you can't sense on the surface. So we've established that Yuki is one manipulative curd, right? Check out this new tech. Mishiro takes the lead for the players in the minefield game where the map is pretty much riddled with mines. And if you step on them, you go kablowy. Obviously, Mishiro shafting the control high from Yuki after convincing the others to not elect her as team leader scathed her ego. However, what does this leader do? If you pay attention, Mishiro uses the players she's leading to go fill out the grounds for mines, forging a path that Yuki advised them not to take. This, of course, ends catastrophically. But what I love is the subtlety of how this anime captures the manipulative nature of humanity and the betrayal sown within. The beautiful thing is that the audience is forced into the shadows of the players' motives till you explicitly see them play out, though the pieces of the puzzle are unveiling themselves actively in a stepwise fashion as the episode progresses and continues. For example, Yuki splits with the group and goes back to retrieve one of the critically injured players who was injured from a mine, but can heal her to a certain state due to something called the preservation treatment. However, she didn't do this out of care. She did this so that the group she was with would sweep out a clean path for them ahead. The primary concern within the world of Shibuyugi is not who you trust, it's when the players find the right gap to stop trusting them. The characters are enveloped in this overcompensating selfish aperture. It's all about self-possession, self-preservation, obtaining their individual goals, even if it sacrifices those who are vulnerable and helpless. It's a mirror of humanity's most primitive inclinations. The two women initially tracking Mishiro promptly abandoned her at the first sight of the beast approaching. Then, when they bumped into Yuki, immediately shifted their tune by saying things like, "We feel safer now that we have you leading us," all to obtain favor, even going so far as to say they would lead the way for her after they just abandoned the other leader at the snap of a finger. It appears like they are being nice and grateful on the surface, and perhaps a part of them is, but this illustrates attempts to feed another person's ego, simply to maintain status in an individual's eyes. Think about it. These two girls just abandoned the other leader, then said they were thankful Yuki could now lead them, and even volunteered themselves to scope out ahead for minds to gain trust. The anime Shiboyugi will give you trust issues if you don't already have them. The message is clear: don't attach to any players, as they can and will be dropped at the flip of a coin or pull of a trigger. But who knows, maybe just don't stand around important items, and that won't happen to you. Which makes this show's death game stand out from the rest is that its environment is absolutely dynamic, meaning that the game that Yuki engages in fluctuates and changes after she beats them. Moreover, the environment undergoes a shift in appearance and objective as well. Likewise, the players present also change. From the current conversations within the story, we at least know that it's possible for these characters to meet each other again in future games. Which means if someone betrays you or tries to pick up your ego, you can always spin the block on them if you make it out alive. Control and experience appear to rule all in the world of Shiboyugi. Without it, you become just another pawn of the team leader. The human psyche is its own backwards enemy, and victory chooses the person willing to lose everything, including their own humanity, by sacrificing their capacity for empathy and respect for the sanctity of life. If you want to see an effed up anime where ego and Machiavellianism flip the death game trope on its head, then enter Shiboyugi, my friend. Please let me know in the comments below what you think of this death game anime. You can follow my IG page, lvamps23, and other socials in the link below. If you want more analysis of your favorite fictional characters or worlds, go ahead and smash that like button below, turn on that notification bell, and subscribe for more. The direction of progress is forward, and it's only up from here. With that, remember, if ever you're lost in the forestry words, strip your mind from fantasy and look to the window of the world, and there your mind will run free.